Hey, this is Arthur Hill, Chief Technical Strategist at TrendInvestorPro.com. You are tuned into our YouTube channel for our weekly video analysis. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. So today we're going to start off with a broad market outlook. We're going to look at SPY in detail, look at the trend composite for SPY. Then we'll look at QQQ and we'll see that it's got a little breakout within its zigzag uptrend, and we'll show you an ATR trailing stop technique to use on that. And then we're going to turn to biotechs because IBB has surged off a key level, and we're going to look at 3 healthcare stocks to see some setups there. So I'm working off of the Stock Charts ACP charting platform here, and I've got some indicators from the Trend Investor Pro Indicator Edge plugin. And if you go down to the right-hand side, you see the plugin icon, and you can click there to see the plugins available and to learn more about the 11 indicators in the Trend Investor Pro plugin. And what I'm working with today are the Trend Composite and the Momentum Composite. And the trend composite tells me the direction of the bigger trend. And when it's green, positive, it's up. And when it's red, negative, it is down. And so this is SPY. And you can see it turned negative there. I'll put on the crosshairs to get the exact date. But it turned negative in early March on the 2nd. And it stayed negative, had a little bit of a whipsaw in June, and then turned positive in July on the 20th there, and it has stayed bullish since July 20th. So we're in an uptrend. We're above the 50-day in green, the 200-day in red, so clearly in an uptrend. Now this indicator here is an aggregate of 5 trend following indicators. So if I click on the settings here for the trend composite, you can see all those indicators, and that's also detailed when you look for more information about the plugin, the 5 trend indicators, and the signals I look at. Because basically the method behind the madness is you never know which indicators are going to trigger, which ones are going to be hot, which ones are going to be not. And I pick 5 that I like. And so when 3 of the 5 are bullish, that's a net of +1. The trend composite is bullish, and that's an uptrend. And I don't look for all 5 or 4 of the 5 to be bullish. If 3 of the 5 are bullish, a simple majority, then that is enough for me to turn bullish. And so if we look at the price chart here, I can open this up, and I'll get to the momentum composite in a minute. But it's just working its way higher, SPY. Every touch of the 50-day has been an opportunity, and we're currently close to a new high. So, from a trading standpoint, maybe we are in a bit of a no man's land. Because you've had your initial bounce, we're in an uptrend, so we don't have a setup, in other words, a pullback. The last kind of setup there was this pullback here that we had in May, where it formed a bit of a pennant because it was short term, and then we broke out. So, the breakout zone in the 50-day, if you close below 414.6, then that would negate that breakout. Now, I've also got an indicator here that I use to trail stops, and I can put that on. It's called the ATR Trailing Stop, and I'll go ahead and click that, and I'm going to put it right on the breakout. So the breakout was there. And look over at the settings. We can see it's based on 22-period ATR, and it's 2 of those 22-period ATR values below the highest close since the breakout. So I'm going to close this so we can get a little more granularity. And we can see on this chart here, I can move this down a little bit, I think. Let me try that. No, yeah. Let me just open that up. There we go. So there we've got this ATR trailing stop. So if we close above this high, we're going to tick up again. And it is right in that 414.5 area. And so say if you close below 414, then this little breakout has failed and we'd wait for the next setup in SPY. But the bottom line is we're in an uptrend in SPY. And so now I'm going to switch over to QQQ, And we've got the same indicators here on QQQ. We've got the Trend Composite, and it's been bullish since mid-April. And then this is the Momentum Composite, and it's got 5 momentum indicators, and it can go from +5 to -5. And here you can see that all 5 indicators were bearish, oversold there on May 12th for QQQ. And so I'm going to go ahead and open this out a little bit. And we can see that we had a pattern at work. So we had a pullback, and we had oversold, and we're below the 50. So when you're below the 50-day, you've had a pullback, and you're oversold, and of course you're in a bigger uptrend, that's an opportunity, that's a pullback, and then we got that breakout. And so at this point, I can put on the ATR Trailing Stop to see how that would look here. Well, we'll call the breakout there. And I put that on, I'll close it so it doesn't move. What you do is you select the ATR Trailing Stop, and then you click on the spot on the chart where you want it to start. And so it starts with this breakout, and you can see price didn't move higher, so it was flat. And then you can see price moved higher, and that's when it rose, and that's why it trails. So it's going to trail as long as price rises. And if you close below 328, then that would say that this little short-term signal has failed. But overall, QQQ is just making its way higher, a pullback, a move to new highs, a pullback. And given the bigger uptrend, I would expect a move to new highs. So here's a peek at trendinvestorpro.com. I focus on market timing and trend momentum strategies. I try to be very objective and systematic in my approach when I'm looking at the charts, and always educational to give you something to take home and learn from. So I've got an ETF table with trend signals and mean reversion setups that's updated twice a week. I've got a big report on Thursdays for ETF trends, patterns, and setups, and that is for ETFs that are in my core ETF list, 120 ETFs. I've got a market timing model on Fridays, and then I do back-tested strategies for ETFs and stocks, as well as a weekly video, and then there's periodic videos and analysis. But this week, actually next week, I'm going to come out with the big trend indicator shootout. And what I've done is I've identified 10 trend following indicators, and I've back-tested them using the all-weather list of 50 ETFs back to 2007. I'm going to do it for the S&P 500, and I'm going to test these 10 trend indicators, and then I'm going to test the Trend Composite to see how they perform. And there you can see a preview. The win rate for the Trend Composite was 40%, which is pretty typical for a trend following strategy, and the average gain was 17.5%. And then I'll get into average loss, gain loss ratio, and profit factor, the all-important profit factor for these as well. That will be next week. So biotechs are making a big move, and this is important because the longer-term trend is up for IBB, the biotech iShares. So we can see a resistance zone coming in there, and then we got the big breakout in November, and then fell back to the breakout zone in March and tested that zone quite a few times there. But it's like 2 steps forward to a new high. It's like 1 step backward to the breakout zone. So broken resistance turns into support, classic tenet of technical analysis, and you had at least 3 bounces off of this, and now we're getting a really big bounce. And so if I open up on that a little bit more, don't need that line there now, but there we can see a clear support zone there in the 200-day, and then we got this little breakout there. So it's maybe short-term overbought, but you know what? It takes strong buying pressure to become short-term overbought. But, if you're a trend follower, you've already got a bullish signal and you take it and you just have a wide stop, or you wait for the Trend Composite to turn bearish. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more timing, then maybe a throwback to this breakout zone, say 153, might be an opportunity to partake in this uptrend. couple of healthcare related stocks to watch out for. Here is Gilead Sciences, and Gilead had this breakout there, and then the Trend Composite turned bullish on this breakout, and then you got the throwback, so you got a second chance. That's why you don't always have to chase a breakout, because you can see broken resistance turns into support. So we surge, pull back. This is like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and start moving higher. And so the Trend Composite is bullish. And if I open this up a little bit, you can see that I pointed out this setup yesterday when I was on, or Monday when I was on with Aaron. But basically we had another surge here short term, a pullback of around 62%. And then we got that short term breakout. And now we're surging today. So it looks like this stock wants to move higher. And it seems to be part of a strong group, which is a newly strong group in biotechs. Another one that came across my radar was Intuitive Surgical with a bullish pattern. If we look at the Trend Composite, bullish, then got a whipsaw with bearish, but it went back to bullish. And so on the price chart, we had this big move up, 2 steps forward, and then a pullback that formed a nice channel. And then we got a channel wedge breakout there. Had a throwback, but now we're starting to bounce again. I think this is still a bullish breakout there for Intuitive Surgical. And then the other one is Amgen. And Amgen has been a bit of a dog lately. You can see it's just been in this big trading range for a long time, for over a year. You know, this is mid-April 2020, and we're back near those levels. But if we focus in a little bit, and let me get this line off of the chart so I can open that up, we can see we're in the middle of this range, and we had a support level here, and we got a surge, 230-ish, and then we got a pretty hard pullback, but we're holding just above that support level. And so watch for a little follow-through breakout there. And that would be bullish for Amgen, and that would be a lower risk entry than, say, on a break above 260. That's something to watch for. So if you'd like to know more about trendinvestorpro.com, you can click on the link in the description below. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again next week. Have a great day.